What's going on, guys? So tomorrow, May 23rd, the Jaguars will begin their first OTA practice. So in this video, I want to get into what exactly an OTA is and what to kind of look out for as OTAs kind of begin to unfold. Before I get into it all, just to introduce you guys, my name is Dalton. I go by UCF Jaguar here on YouTube, and I've been independently covering the Jaguars on here for 5 years now. So if you are new here, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button for further Jaguar content, and also hit that like button if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow, and it just does a lot for me when it comes to my work involving our beloved Jaguars. So tomorrow, Jaguars OTAs begin. Now, what this is, it's going to be our first time actually seeing the guys that the Jaguars retained from the 2021 NFL season. It also will be the first time we see them kind of join with the free agents that we brought in, as well as the new rookies and undrafted free agents. So the first time we really get to see the bulk of our roster and the bulk of our real guys that are going to be making big impacts with the Jaguars in 2022 kind of on the field together. Now, what exactly is an OTA? OTA stands for Organized Team Activities, and every team is permitted to have 10 OTAs as well as a 3-day mandatory minicamp. Now, an OTA, they are non-contact practices, so they will not be wearing pads, although they will be allowed to have 7-on-7 work, 9-on-7 work, 11-on-11 work, and just do more kind of individual drill work to kind of, hone in on these different skills that these guys have. Now, these are completely voluntary. Now, when it comes to a team like the Jaguars, I imagine the attendance will be very, very close to 100%. And if there is a player or two missing, it will probably be because of, different reasons. I know a few years back, some players have had their wives give birth or something, or deaths in the family, things like that. Sometimes players will miss for big things like that, but in the overall scheme of things, if they are healthy and everything is good to go, they will come in. Now, in the past, there's been players like established players like Jalen Ramsey missed, Maurice Jones-Drew has missed OTAs, Mercedes Lewis back in the day. Some of those things are kind of common, but with the Jaguars, I don't see any player that will be missing. Guys like Josh Allen could probably get away from it, but Josh Allen pretty much stays around a facility for most of the year. Even, a lot of times quarterbacks report, so Trevor Lawrence will most definitely be there. Guys like Christian Kirk, I imagine Christian Kirk will be there. He just joined the team, so he needs to get acclimated to this roster. And maybe next year, if he has like a 1,200-yard season, he might have an excused absence. But at the moment right now, I would kind of, there's a whole debate how important are OTAs, and they're probably not all that important in like the grand scheme of things. But at the same time, the Jaguars are not necessarily a super young roster, but they're a new roster. The Jaguars added a ton of players in free agency. Obviously, they brought guys in from the NFL draft, and the Jaguars have a bunch of first and second year players that are going to be making impacts. So, these guys need more time to gel and more time to just get together and play as a team. And really, the faster this team plays as a team, I guess I should say this whole entire collective roster starts playing as one team, one unit, the better the Jaguars will be. It's just when you're kind of, projecting the Jaguars win-loss total, a lot of it's all about, okay, how will this roster, move forward? Because, like I said a couple videos ago, I feel like I like the raw materials on the Jaguars. The Jaguars added a bunch of pieces. They upgraded at a bunch of different positions, but how quick will this team come together? The raw materials are there, but if you just have a bunch of parts everywhere, it's not going to do good until you put it together and really build a machine that works well. That's kind of like the Jaguars roster right now. So the way the Jaguars, though, I found on the NFL website, so the Jaguars, basically the practice schedule will look like this. OTAs will go from May 23rd to May 24th. They're going to take a break on May 25th and come back on May 26th. Then a few days off. They're going to practice May 31st and June 1st. And then they'll have another practice on June 3rd. And then some practices from June 6th through June 9th. And then there will also be a mandatory minicamp from June 14th through June 16th. And then they take about a month break as, the real dead period of the NFL begins, where, these guys go off on their own. Any news is usually bad news, as, if you hear about a player in the news, a lot of the time it's just them being stupid, maybe them getting arrested, stuff like that might go on. Hopefully it doesn't happen with the Jaguars, but you never know. It seems like every year, you get at least one guy that gets in a little bit of trouble. So hopefully we avoid something like that. Now, one thing that is lingering from this last season is that Urban Meyer wound up breaking some OTA rules, and then it actually led to Urban Meyer getting fined $100,000 and the Jaguars getting fined $200,000. Now, the reason I bring this up is because a part of this penalty was that the Jaguars were to lose 2 OTA practices this offseason. So instead of having 10, they would only be allowed 8. I don't know if that goes away now. According to, I looked on the NFL website and I gave you guys the practice schedule, and that includes 10 OTAs. So I don't know if now that Urban Meyer is gone, maybe that gets waived. Maybe with just what Urban Meyer brought and how much of a joke it was, maybe they are, cutting us some slack and giving us that practice back. But, that concept of 10, I didn't see anywhere where these practices are going to be lost. So obviously, if anything happens, I'll keep you guys updated, probably on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. I'll probably break it down there instead of coming out with a whole video based on that. So that's going to happen, or that might happen. We'll see. Now, here are some things to look out for. I wrote down 6 different things to kind of look at. Now, when it comes to coverage of this, they don't live stream this stuff. So the cool thing about OTAs to me, honestly, the coolest thing to me is just we get a bunch of different press conferences from players. It's going to be nice to get updates from Doug Peterson. We'll be able to listen to Trevor Lawrence once again, some of the leaders like Josh Allen, and even just some of the new players. I'm sure Christian Kirk will have some media availability very soon. Even rookies like Devin Lloyd, Trevon Walker, some leaders. It's always good to hear from Shaquille Griffin. I want to hear from Tyson Campbell, who should be poised for a big year. So those are, and also not only that, but, we're going to get some, kind of tweets and updates from guys that are actually in the Jaguars media, guys like Demetrius Harvey, like Hayes Carline, different stuff like that, different guys to follow on Twitter if you aren't already, because they'll probably be coming out with different videos and things like that. Of course, I'll keep you guys updated. I don't know how many updates I'll keep on here, but, if anything significant comes out, I'll probably throw up some OTA kind of highlights that I see here and there, so be on the lookout for that. Now, so those are some things that kind of, when it comes to OTAs, what we're going to be getting as just casual fans. Now, the first thing I'm going to be looking for is kind of some of the injured players, especially on offense. Jamal Agnew suffered a hip injury last season, which was a weird one. James Robinson had a torn Achilles toward the end of the year. And Travis Etienne suffered a Liz Frank injury. So in what capacity will we see these guys on the field? There's different things they're not practicing at all. They're just in a hoodie on the side, just with the groups, just watching practice. Sometimes, some guys are off to the side doing different lunges or, just different things where they're kind of moving their body around and they're kind of doing stuff during practice. Sometimes they might get into different position drills and they might be able to do some stuff, but hey, you can run forward, run through the holes, but don't do any cutting. Different things like that. I wonder how much guys will be limited. I imagine James Robinson will be completely limited, but I wonder at what capacity Travis Etienne gets out there. Will he only be a straight line guy? What will he do? And honestly, Travis Etienne is a huge wild card this season, because I would like to sit here and project, okay, we got Etienne back. Look at what he did in college. He was great. He's fast, but Liz Frank is a tough injury. Sometimes players come back fine. Sometimes players come back completely different player. So which one will Etienne be? Hopefully the optimistic side of things, where he comes back and he is, the same guy he was in college. That's what I'm hoping for. But we'll see what we get out of that. Now, next up is obviously number 1 overall pick, Trevon Walker. I want to see what he looks like kind of next to Josh Allen. What's the size comparison? What do these guys look like on the field together? Will they both be lining up, on the outside like a 9 tech, when it comes to like where they're going to be lining up on the field? I don't know. So I don't know how much they're going to move these guys around, but I really just want to see these guys next to each other and kind of size them up. Now, third, I want to see where the offensive linemen are lining up. This will be a big thing that, we're going to get from the local media when it comes to, because right now the Jaguars, it feels like we have a lot of pieces, but where are these pieces going to be lining up? First of all, the Jaguars brought in right guard Brandon Sheriff, who is a plug and play at right guard. But one guy that the Jaguars had starting at right guard the whole entire season last year was Ben Bartch. Does Ben Bartch start off at the starting left guard spot? You know what I mean? Or is he going to serve as a backup right guard? I imagine Ben Bartch will start week 1. I don't know where he's going to start off in OTAs, but I think when it's all said and done, when we go to Washington week 1, I think Ben Bartch will be our starting left guard. What about Walker Little? I mean, Walker Little, spent his time at left tackle last season. However, the Jaguars inked Cam Robinson to a brand new 3-year deal. So Cam Robinson is going to be playing left tackle. But you need to get Walker Little on the field. I mean, first of all, the Jaguars threw down a second-round pick for him. So they invested pretty heavily in him. Second of all, he's just a good player. He did really good as the season went on last year. So this guy needs a starting spot somewhere. I would imagine he's probably going to be our starting right tackle when it's all said and done. Like I said, I can't tell you where they're going to be lining up at the first OTA practice, but I think when it's all said and done, after competition, after whatever this and that happens, training camp, preseason, Walker Little will be our starting right tackle. Also, what about Jawan Taylor? It seems like his time might be up at right tackle. We brought him in the second round. He started right tackle. Granted, he's been very healthy for us, but he hasn't been super effective all the time. So where will Jawan Taylor line up? One thing the Jaguars did with Luke Joeckel back in the day, Luke Joeckel played his first 3 years at left tackle, but after he just wasn't very good, the Jaguars wanted to salvage whatever they had with him left, and they moved Luke Joeckel to left guard. I wonder if they do something similar with Jawan Taylor. Are they going to be, trying to play him at, one of these guard positions, maybe compete for the starting left guard spot? Or will he just simply be kind of like a swing tackle, kind of the next guy up if one of these guys gets injured? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to compete for a starting left tackle or left guard spot, or if he'll just be backup. I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on with that. And also Luke Fortner, where is he going to play? I imagine he's going to be, when it's all said and done, starting center, but obviously he's a rookie, so he's probably going to march out there as like a second or third stringer. But I wonder how much, I just wonder what his workload will be. Does he get 50% of the snaps at center, 50% at left guard? Because obviously the Jaguars do have Shatley. They signed him to a 2-year deal, so, he is somewhere in the Jaguars' plans, but I don't know if, Shatley's going to be a week 1 starter when you compare him to Luke Fortner. So the offensive line, that's really a big question mark about where guys are going to kind of be playing. Next up is also the linebackers. Now, very rarely in 1 year do you really overturn really overhaul 100% of a starting unit. But the Jaguars did that with the linebacker group. Last year you saw Miles Jack, Damian Wilson, Shaq Quarterman, get all the play. But now Miles Jack is gone. Darius Williams, Damian Williams, sorry. I don't know why I said Darius. Damian Williams is now gone. He's with the Carolina Panthers. And Shaq Quarterman's still on the team, but it feels like he's probably serving in more of a special teams role. So now the Jaguars bring in Foye Oluokun, on a pretty big deal. They bring in Devin Lloyd, a first-round pick, and also Chad Muma, a third-round pick. So these guys are going to be getting, when healthy, pretty much all the linebacker snaps. So where are we going to be playing these guys? What will the different defensive, sets look like? I imagine they're just going to be doing a lot of base. But, when we drafted Chad Muma, we're like, how are we going to get this guy on the field? Well, Mike Caldwell is going to, have a lot of responsibility when it comes to how he will run the defense. Now, next up, staying on the defensive side of the ball, we know what the safety is going to look like. There's not a lot of bait. It's probably going to be Rayshon Jenkins and Andre Cisco starting at safeties. But what do the Jaguars do at cornerback? I mean, we know the three starting quarterbacks: Shaquille Griffin, Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams. But which one is going to be the cornerback that comes off the field when you're in a base personnel? Base personnel essentially being 4 defensive backs, 3 linebackers, 4 defensive line. I guess in the 3-4 scheme, it's 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. But what will it look like when we go into nickel when you bring in an extra cornerback? Will it be Griffin that comes out the field, or will it be Darius Williams? I mean, I imagine you're going to keep Tyson Campbell on the field all the time because the guy is a baller and he looks like he looks like just a prototype cornerback, and he really ended the season off well. But what's that's going to look like? Mike Caldwell, first-time defensive coordinator, he's got a lot to work with, and he is going to have a pretty tough job. I mean, granted, it's not tough in the sense of, players. The Jaguars really did Mike Caldwell a lot of good when it comes to what they did in the offseason, bringing a bunch of free agents, also draft capital, draft picks. But his big situation is how he's going to run his defense, because on the offensive side of the ball, you have Trevor Lawrence. You have your 5 starting offensive linemen. Then you're kind of figuring out, okay, how you're going to split up carries with the running backs, who you're going to throw the ball to. It's a lot more simple. But on the defensive side of the ball, Todd Bowles' scheme is pretty crazy. I imagine they're going to have a lot of different defensive looks, which linebackers you're going to have on the field. They're in different packages. When you're playing different teams, if you're playing a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a guy like Travis Kelce, how will you play a team like that versus when you play a team that might not have, that really good tight end, but instead has like a really speedy slot wide receiver? There's just a lot of different things that the Jaguars need to do. And, Mike Caldwell is going to have a big responsibility when it comes to just how he's going to run this defense. And, on the offensive side of the ball, you have Doug Peterson, you have Press Taylor, you have, passing game coordinator Jim Bob Cooter. You have a lot of backup. Mike Caldwell, defense coordinator, then he has his different position guys. And I don't know how much. I just have this feeling that Doug Peterson's going to give Mike Caldwell the keys and let him run it. But he's a first-time defensive coordinator. So, we'll just have to figure out if this guy is a stud or if he is a bum, because we've seen both aspects of that for the Jaguars in the past. And lastly, the most important thing, I feel like I can never go a video without mentioning this guy, but just Trevor Lawrence. How does Trevor Lawrence look? Did he tighten some of his mechanics up in the offseason? Who is he throwing to for the most part? Does he have a real connection with Evan Ingram or Christian Kirk? Because obviously, some of these different bonds get built when it comes to favorite receivers that they throw to. I wonder who Trevor Lawrence's guy is going to be, and I just wonder how Trevor Lawrence looks. So with all that said, 10 OTAs, this is going to start tomorrow. Be on the lookout, probably especially on the Jaguars YouTube channel, because they're going to be posting different press conferences, and stay tuned to me for different coverage on everything Jaguars. I've been trying to just pump out a lot of videos for you guys lately in this period where there may not be a ton of Jaguars content. And with all that said, that's pretty much all I got. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to in this off season, and thank you guys so much for watching. Go Jags. You guys watched the whole video. Really appreciate that. You guys can subscribe to the channel for the best source of Jaguars news on the YouTube platform. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. And you can become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month for exclusive channel content. Thank you guys, and go Jags.